So is the carnivore diet better when you add carbs to it? That's what I'm going to discuss in today's video. And instead of giving you my N=1 biased opinion, instead I'm going to share with you guys several data points and facts, and you guys can make up your mind on whether adding carbs to the carnivore diet is good or not. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comment section after you watch the video. Should you add carbs to carnivore? Should you be animal-based? Should you go strict carnivore no matter what? Let me know how you feel in this comment section. Now, here's what I'm going to cover in today's video. I've worked with over 3,000 clients, helping them heal their skin over the last decade. And I want to tell you guys about the people who've done carnivore diet to try to heal their skin. What is their results? Did the carnivore diet on its own just boom, work like magic? Did we need to customize things a little bit? And did adding carbs and fruit actually make it better, or did it make it worse? What percentage of people did that happen for? Another data point I'm going to look at in today's video is I recently talked to a friend, Sean McCormick, who's an OG in the holistic health space. We did a podcast. You can check it out. It's a few weeks old, but he's been on a carnivore diet, really strict, for about 6 to 8 months. And his results were very interesting. He added some carbs, and I'm going to tell you if things went good for him or things did not go good for him. I'm also going to share my own story of being very strict carnivore and being carnivore with other things like carbohydrates, like fruit. Which one works better for me? Because it's super clear for me. And also, we got to look at Paul Saladino and Sean Baker. And the question that comes up from those two that everybody is missing, and it is the real question we should be asking ourselves about diet. I'm going to cover that last because it's the most important. So first, let me jump right into my clients. So like I said, I've worked with well over 3,000 people at this point, and many of them turn to a carnivore diet or want to start the process out with the carnivore diet because it allows you to eliminate all the possible trigger foods for eczema, dermatitis, psoriasis, and rosacea, and focus on the foods that are actually the most safe, which are the animal fats and animal proteins. Now, what percentage of people that I work with fully heal their skin on a carnivore diet? Not very many, to be honest with you, almost zero. Every client that I work with, we fully customize the diet based on results, based on their actual feedback. If we put someone on a carnivore diet and it's working really well, we're not going to make a lot of adjustments to it. If we put someone on a carnivore diet and it works like crap, even though we've made the right adjustments and we've given it some time, it's just common sense that you change things up, you add certain foods, and if those foods produce better results, then those foods are more helpful than not. Pretty logical and straightforward. The amount of clients who start with the carnivore diet, then add carbohydrates or fruit during the customization process, and that is better for them than the carnivore diet, is about 85%. Only about 15% of the people who do carnivore diet never, ever, ever really need to add anything to it. But I will say this, and this is the difference between my carnivore dieters and carnivore dieters out there on the internet. My carnivore dieters fully customize their animal-based nutrition. It's not just willy-nilly, eat as much beef as you possibly can. It's very, very focused. And it takes a focused, customized diet for that 15% that are carnivore to make it work. The 85%, though, an overwhelming majority of the clients I've worked with do way better in terms of their digestion, their skin health, their hormones, and their overall well-being, including their sleep, by adding carbohydrates to the carnivore diet. The caveat for this, and this will come a little bit later as well, as how much carbs you add to a carnivore and animal-based diet. The dose means a lot. Some people will be able to handle very little. Some people like Paul Saladino will be able to handle a lot of carbs. The next data point I want to look at in today's video is Sean McCormick. Like I said, I recently did a podcast with him, and he is really in tune with his body. He does a lot of physical activity. He's been on a healing and cleansing and detox journey for a super long time. And I want you guys to hear it directly from his mouth. So here's Sean on what foods he eats on a regular basis, what foods he added to the carnivore diet, and why he added carbs to the carnivore diet. Hint, hint, he was doing it for 6 months and he felt really good for quite a bit of it. But then because he's so physically active, he started feeling like he just was not getting enough food and calories despite eating plenty of food. So here's Sean on adding carbs with his carnivore diet. You had gone pretty deep into carnivore, and now I've recently added some carbohydrates to it. I'd love to kind of like get your input on adding carbs to carnivore, and that whole thing. And also I'm curious as to just like what a typical day of eating is like for Sean right now.
This is going to tie in perfectly. I've eaten a lot more fruit recently. A lot more fruit. You know, for the amount of activity that I do, jiu-jitsu, 4 or 5 days a week, some runs, X3 bar, and, coaching jits and coaching soccer. I'm super busy, and the low carb, hardcore carnivore stuff just wasn't doing it for me. And so, kind of front loading fruit in the beginning part of the day has helped a lot with my energy and it burn it off. Yeah. Typical day of eating, wake up in the morning, immediately I chug down, how minutes is this? This is my mason jar. I think it's probably 32 ounces. I put humic and fulvic in there. I put the psyllium husk in there on empty stomach first thing, and I chug it. I have a talent for drinking liquids really quickly, which was problematic in college, but now it's just really really effective for getting really high quality hydration. I'm going to plug water. Water is so critical, you guys. Go to findaspring.org and go find a primary water source. Invest in either glass is better, but they're heavy as shit. But get BPA free plastic jugs. Drink that water. You will feel different if you start drinking higher quality water that's primary. It will change you. So that's how I start. Typically I won't eat until about 11 o'clock. So after I've had my psyllium husk in primary water with humic and fulvic, then I'll have my coffee. I've been putting collagen in my coffee a little bit. I've done the whole bulletproof, ghee. I did that for years, and it's fine. I don't need it, and I'm not chasing ketosis anymore. So I just put collagen in there for joints and for cover my bases and also get, I guess it's the equivalent of like 15 grams, maybe 20 grams of protein in my coffee in the morning, which getting the protein minimums is critical for me. Typically around 11 o'clock, I'll do eggs. I eat a ton of eggs. Sometimes I'll slonk down 8 raw. I'll just drink them straight out of my trusty mason jar, add a little bit of Himalayan salt into there. Other times I'll make, scrambled eggs. I've been eating more fried eggs to keep those yolks intact and undamaged. So, again, it's usually between 4 and 6 eggs is my first meal. Typically I'll have fruit in the earlier part of the day. It's been pear season up here in the Northwest, so I've been eating pears, a lot of apples, blueberries, strawberries. Occasionally I'll have some yogurt, some high quality yogurt with berries. And occasionally I'll also add like pumpkin seeds to that for the anti-parasite and, all the other benefits that come with pumpkin seeds in yogurt. So my first meal is fairly large, and then I'll maybe have another piece of fruit in the late afternoon, an apple. I've kind of stayed away from bananas, but, have an apple or so, maybe some cheese in the afternoon. Another thing that is big at my house and has been for months is raw dairy. Found an incredible local grass-fed raw dairy source here in my neck of the woods, and so I'll have 12 ounces of raw milk a couple of times a day because I love it. It makes my gut feel good. It has this cooling effect in the gut that I really love, that I can feel, that my kids really love too. And then in the evening time, I'll be honest, like our nights are kind of hectic at my house. Both of my kids are athletes, jiu-jitsu, soccer, basketball. I do jiu-jitsu in the evening time. So dinners have, kind of been crazy with back to school since the fall. But usually it's pretty simple. I'll do, a steak or some chicken. I like chicken thighs, a lot. Just higher fat content, more flavor. We've been doing, so we eat a ton of chicken, a ton of ground beef. Occasionally I'll just do grass-fed ground beef raw, and just eat it maybe with an egg yolk on top of it, maybe with some other sort of some capers or some pickles or some fermented foods like sauerkraut in with the ground beef. My kids eat a fair bit of rice as well. So we'll make white rice. I'll have white rice maybe once or twice a week, but that kind of does it. I'm the kind of guy that does not shy away from celebrating with food. If I'm at a birthday party and there's cookies, I'm going to have a couple cookies and I'm not going to cry about it. If there's birthday cake, I'm going to have some birthday cake. I don't starve myself of that stuff because it is fun and I'm not so dogmatic about it that I miss out on that sort of stuff. If my she likes to make gluten-free baked goods. So like a gluten-free scone or a gluten-free cookie, it's got a ton of sugar in it, but I'm going to enjoy that with my family. Rice Krispie treats have come back into the fold. We got the bougie marshmallows, the actual marshmallows, rather than the Stay Puffed or, the fake ones. Puffed rice and marshmallows on a Rice Krispie treat a couple of times a week, a little, square this big, and just enjoy it. And that's kind of it. From a liquid standpoint, if I'm feeling a little low energy, I might have some more humic and fulvic. I like Element, the electrolyte drink powder. It fits the bill. And as active as I am, I do need to replenish minerals because I sweat like crazy when I'm doing jiu-jitsu. So I'll have that in my water bottle and sip on that. This weird concoction that I'm drinking right now is an elixir of Schisandra, lion's mane, and some other berry that I forget. All
right, let's look at my results. My results were unequivocally obvious. On a carnivore diet, strict carnivore diet, which I did for years, I had great results. 9 out of 10 results. Body fat was good. Skin health was great. Digestion was pretty good. Sleep, all of it. All of the biomarkers were pretty good. Now, though, when I added carbs in, I started off by just adding a little bit of fruit, then a little bit of sweet potatoes, then things like peas and carrots, and keeping it very simple. I do also a little maple honey and a little a little maple syrup and raw local honey. Those are my main carb sources along with sauerkraut. And when I first started adding carbs in, right away, here's what I noticed. My sex drive went up, my body weight went up, but my body fat stayed the same. So it filled me out a little bit. Also, there was some mood things that happened with carbohydrates. I started to feel a lot more sex drive and I started to feel a lot more positive, vibrant emotions throughout the day when adding carbohydrates. So for me, across the board, in every way, shape, or form, when I add carbs to the carnivore diet, it does slightly improve it. But like I said, carnivore diet for me works really well. I like to bounce back and forth during a year between lots of carbs on my animal-based diet, almost zero carbs on a keto animal-based diet, and then somewhere in the middle, depending on what my physical activity is, depending on how much sunshine I can get, and depending on what my body's actual needs are during that time frame. I think the next data point to look at is Paul Saladino and Dr. Sean Baker. Now, I know both of those guys, and they're both actual really nice guys in person. I've done podcasts with both of them, and they seem, in my opinion, to be pretty straightforward and pretty honest with when they're talking about what they're eating. So I think they're good case studies. Now, with Paul, everyone knows the story. He was Mr. Carnivore, Mr. Keto Carnivore, very strict, and it ended up producing really bad labs for him. And he had all of these issues like poor sleep, low sex drive, heart palpitations. It created major issues with him. He added all sorts of carbohydrates, mostly from fruit at first, and now sweet potatoes and some other things. I think he goes over 350 grams every single day. And he is absolutely proving, for him, adding carbs to a carnivore diet made it way better. He proves this by showing his labs both before and after, and they are drastically better. Now, I'm not one of those people that thinks labs are the end all be all of everything. You want to look at both things. You want to look at labs and your own personal biomarkers. How are you sleeping? How do you feel? How's your sex drive? How's your stomach feel? How's your digestion feel? How's your daily poop? How's your performance in the gym? Are you getting great sleep? Are you stressed all the time? All of those things, his labs and his biomarkers, are both highly improved. So for Paul, you tell me, does carbs on the carnivore diet make it better for him? Seems like it does. Now, we have Dr. Sean Baker, who has been Mr. Strict Carnivore for a very long time. He's one of the OGs in the game. Now, many people have seen Dr. Baker share his lab results, his testosterone, C-reactive protein, all of that stuff. And generally, his labs are super bad. They're just really not good. If my testosterone and my cholesterol and my labs were where his were at, I would have big red flags. But here's the thing. Dr. Baker says that his biomarkers, his performance, his body fat, the way he feels, his sex drive, his sleep is all top notch. So he's feeling great despite having crappy labs. That's a very interesting data point that you see coming up a ton in the carnivore community. Shitty labs, but saying that you feel really good. Now, here is the question that you might have come up with already, that as I'm talking about Dr. Paul Saladino and Dr. Sean Baker, this is what everyone is missing. And it's so simple. This is the question of all questions. It's not, does adding carbs to the carnivore diet make it better? It's simply this: what group of foods produces the best biomarker in labs within me? Period. So if you're on an animal-based diet and you're eating carbohydrates and your biomarkers suck and your labs suck, then stop the carbohydrates and try something else. On the other hand, if you're on a carnivore diet and all of your labs are right where you want them to be and you're feeling amazing with your biomarkers, then stay on the carnivore diet. But if you're someone who joined the carnivore diet because you thought it was going to create some miraculous healing, and you've been on it for 6 months or you've been on it for a year and things aren't drastically better with your biomarkers and labs, then make a change and tune your diet to the point where it actually produces the results that you want, and do it based on no bias at all. Use all whole foods, and whatever foods work, those are your foods, period. So what do you guys think? Does adding carbs to a carnivore diet make it better, or does the question that I brought up make much more sense to think about? I'm not a big fan of dietary dogma. I don't like the dietary cults. I don't like the dietary tribes. It becomes groupthink, it becomes propaganda-based, and it becomes not simple and logical. Now, I have no problem with the carnivore diet or the carnivore community. I've experienced lots of growth and lots of amazing information from eating the carnivore diet, and it's helped many of my clients. But don't get wrapped up in that BS of being a carnivore, not being a carnivore. You had an apple, so you're not carnivore. You're missing the entire point. Now, for those of you who are watching this video, you most likely have come to this channel for maybe the title or the thumbnail or just the topic. But I'm a skin health coach, and I've been coaching for over a decade. I've worked with 3,000 people, over 3,000 people. Customizing the diet is the cornerstone of what we do. And if you're interested in learning how to customize the diet, check out the links in the description box. If you're looking to do it on your own for free, we have a group, and it's a course, and it's free, and it has everything you need. The link is in the description. If you're looking for private coaching to have me teach you this process and walk you through the entire process of customizing the diet based on biomarkers and labs, then click the link for private coaching. I can definitely help you get your skin healthy. Much love, you guys. Remember to subscribe and share. Leave your comments down below. And I'll be back with many more videos really soon. Peace.